Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the RefTech Talk Show, live again from International Confex 2026. I'm in the First Sight Media podcast studio again, live and direct from the show floor, and today I am joined by Margaret, who is the managing director of one of the oldest event technology companies in the business, RefTech. RefTech have been doing registration and badge printing delivery on International Confex this year and last year as well, I think. So if you've come through International Confex and you've had your badge printed, it's from their wonderful system. But Margaret, you've been in the industry for a long time now.
2.5.
2.5 decades. So you've seen the industry change a lot.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, for anybody that doesn't know what RefTech does on the whole, how do you describe it to people?
Registration and badging.
Registration
And badging, yeah. For obviously conferences and exhibitions, and then obviously the various things tie into that depending on what the client wants.
Yeah. Would you say you are software-led or service-led then?
Service.
And why do you think that's important?
Because people matter, relationships matter. We pride ourselves on going above and beyond. I always have done, always will. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I want us to do the best that we possibly can do, and hopefully leave the client with as I would say, a warm and fluffy feeling of the level of service that they've received.
Awesome. So 2 decades in the industry, you've probably seen it all. What would you say that major shift has been? What do event organizers and trade show organizers now expect of their partners like RefTech?
They expect us to, all of us really, to be as high tech as we possibly can. That they want us to be able to integrate with partner A, partner B, partner C for, dare I say, sometimes minimal cost, but with not understanding what goes into that to make it happen. We've had in years gone by where clients, they get their events scanned and they get the data, but they don't do anything with the data. But now the data is looked at in a more strategic way. There's more notice being taken of the data, and rightly so, because the data is your most important asset, really.
Yeah.
But some people don't bother with the data, which is surprising, really.
It's quite shocking that some people don't do anything with the data. Why do you think that is? Is it because they don't value it, or they don't have the time, or?
I'd say those two things, and I think the third thing is that they've made their money. They're not interested.
Fair. I mean, yeah. I think one of the things that really struck out and kind of stuck out to me, that you've designed your software to work regardless of Wi-Fi connection, which we all know is one of those more troublesome and turbulent things when you come to an event, right? If the internet and the Wi-Fi doesn't work, just across the whole, it becomes real sticker. Why did you decide to go down that route, and how long has your software been able to work offline?
Well, it's my business partner Simon's baby. He's the tech guru, and he's always dabbling and messing with the software, let's say. He wanted to design a piece of software that, in his opinion, was very easy to use, and also knowing when we come to venues that Wi-Fi is a huge problem. He wanted it to be that there was as minimal disruption as possible for the client, and in truth, if the Wi-Fi did go down, the client would be unaware, because as soon as the Wi-Fi comes back up, it resyncs and away you go. But no, Simon's very passionate about the development of the software.
And what other aspects or features or elements of the software would you say that Simon's really brought to the front for the benefit of the organisers, of the show organisers?
The scanning, I would say, has taken up a fair amount of his time, and we do the what we call print. I get this wrong. Oh my life, my brain's gone blank. But we're scanning off mobile phone devices, and it makes the experience a lot quicker, and the data is held locally. And then we've also developed something called contact scanning. We also, we're also in the middle of a revamp of the leave retrieval system. That's ongoing. That's going to take a little while. But there's always something to do. Always.
I was looking as well, and PrintPod made a real splash at International Confex.
Yeah.
Talk us through that. What's PrintPod? What does it do? And why did it get such good? Why was it received so well?
We talked about the presentation. The first thing that a visitor or exhibitor sees is the entrance. And I kept saying that we need to revamp our offering and make it more attractive looking and more interesting. And wouldn't it be great if they did have something standalone? So Simon went away, came up with some thoughts, completely his brainchild, and then we went about making it and developing it. We've had absolutely fantastic success with it. More and more people are taking up the print pods, which is amazing, and people are enjoying the experience. To give an example, we did an event at the ICC late last year, and the client was used to there being long queues and not being able to get people in the door. It would take up to about 11:30 to get them in from 9 a.m. And they had our print pods and they were all strategically placed. And by 9:30, 10 o'clock, they were all in, to the degree that the client said to a colleague, "Oh my God, have we done something wrong? Are we missing something? Where's all the people? Why are there not queues?" And then they looked at their numbers and realised that they'd all gone through. So we couldn't ask for any better feedback than that, because, we've done it. We've succeeded to the degree that we're even in the middle of asking the client, could we do a case study on it?
Yeah.
But because they were just used to the hustle and bustle with previous supplier, and that's not me putting them down at all. It's just different technologies offer different things. But yeah, I was really, really chuffed with that.
That's awesome case study. That I think, yeah, like I've seen so many shows in the past that there's an element of pride, isn't there, when there's a queue outside a registration and they take a picture and, the social media post goes, "Oh my God, so many people trying to get in the show, can't even fit them all through the door," kind of thing. I think that's just a positive PR spin on those, because
I think it's funny. I mean, we deal with a lot of clients, different types of clients. Some want there to be queues because they want to give the impression it's busy. Others, they see any sight of a queue at all and they're in panic stations. And sometimes it'll be resales. So you have to kind of manage all of that.
I'm sure exhibitors would argue that they'd rather be people inside the show hall than outside the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've also recently announced a partnership with Venue IQ.
Yeah.
With the team there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that partnership and how that came about, and what's the benefit now to, I guess, both sides on customer base?
We have our own app. We've always had our own app, but rightly or wrongly chose not to put too much development time into that because we wanted to focus on other things. But then more and more of our clients were asking for add-ons, the networking, etc. And I've known Luke for quite a long time. You can't help but like and love him. He's one of those, he's magnetic. We were talking, he said, wouldn't it be great if we could have a partnership, etc. And it's just gone from there, really. And it's working really well. He makes recommendations to us for clients that want the registration and badging services, and vice versa. And we've had quite a few clients now where we've delivered the events with the app. So yeah, it's going quite well.
I think when you have those strong relationships and strong partnerships, the clear winner in all of that is the customer, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think you've probably done the right thing, right? And focused on your core strengths, which is the registration solution, the platform, the print pods, and the lead scanning and the lead retrieval and stuff like that. And Venue IQ have clearly stayed within their lane as well and focused on the app and the delegate tracking and those kinds of things and stuff. And, when I see point solutions and integrations like that, ultimately the whole product is a better service. My research tells me, so you'll have to tell me if I'm wrong on this, RefTech was the first badging and registration company to achieve this ISO 27001.
Absolutely correct.
Across the entire business. I'm glad my researchers did the right thing. That's not just the servers, but every system across the entire business. Why did you feel that is important? And if you could you explain what ISO 27001 is? I'll put you on the spot now, Anna.
So Simon, business partner, he is the tech guru. He is absolutely paranoid about data security. He spends a lot of time making sure that everything's locked down and correct. And, we spend a lot of money every month on servers and different things. And We had various different models in place, and he wanted to ensure that the systems were as they should be. So we chose to do the 27001, and it's just making sure that you're following the correct processes, the correct, roadway, and that if something does go wrong, then you have, again, the protocols in place to be able to deal with that. Touch wood, we've not had that happen. But yeah, it's something we're very proud of. We continue to be assessed every year, and every year we get commended for, how good our systems are. Occasionally you'll get like a black mark or an advisory that they say, where they say, you just might want to put a little bit more effort into that area. But that hasn't happened in the last 2 or 3 years, which is fantastic.
And for those that don't know, I've done a lot of research into becoming ISO certified. There's other accreditations in that like SOC 2 and things like that. And they're not cheap things to get to the point where you can even be certified, right? And then there's a continual certification of the regular checks, the annual or biannual and things like that. So these are things that actually cost companies like RefTech quite a lot of money to maintain and invest in. And I think, again, the value of that sometimes isn't like attributed well to the company, that there is that amount of time and effort that goes into to protect the organizer data. Only is it when there's a data breach with a data thing. And there was actually something in the Middle East the other day where very personal data got breached by some very, very important and wealthy people in the industry. And I don't think that went down very well.
No, it wouldn't.
Out of interest, and there's no wrong or right answer to this, are you also SOC 2 certified? No. Continuing the theme of data then. In my opinion, it's the currency of modern events, but there's still lots of bad habits, isn't there? And especially around the collection of that when it comes to registration data and what we're asking of people or how we build kind of those registration forms and things like that. What do you see or where do you see organizers making those typical mistakes when it comes to data collection and things like that? Is there something there you wish would just disappear and let us see again?
Simon took various training courses on GDPR.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we take that very seriously. We never, ever email our data, ever. But quite regularly, we get the data emailed to us.
Okay.
And it's just like, really? That's not our problem. We just make sure that you delete the emails from the system, import the data, and then what they've sent across is gone. But yet we've all been made aware of the do's and don'ts, but still there's that common habit that seems to happen quite a lot. And you still get people on site where they'll come with a USB key and say, can you just load that? And we say, no, we can't, because if we are... I was going to use a word then. We're very particular with what we do and what we don't, because you have to be. You really do have to be. It's just, I don't know. I think post-COVID, the industry's gone through a lot of change and lost a lot of good people within business places. And then when life started up again, we all needed to re-recruit. And of course, we've lost all that knowledge and experience. So therefore, you're starting again. So it might be that the new people coming in, that not enough effort and time's maybe being put into educating them on maybe the do's and don'ts. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
How do we attract those people, Margaret? Because, I totally agree with you on that sentiment that we've lost so much great experience and knowledge since the pandemic. But yet there are so many people that are hungry and interested to get into the industry. Yeah. Yes, often, those entry points through universities and things like that, or them coming into the industry to be an event organizer. Yeah, there's so many paths to that. And when I've lectured at universities like the University of Westminster before, my advice is always to get experience with suppliers first, work on the actual supply side. You have a greater appreciation on the organizer side and things like that. Do you think we as an industry should be doing more apprenticeships or vocations of younger people coming into those roles within service supply technology and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I think there's an element of ignorance and lack of knowledge of what this industry is made up of and how it works. Digressing slightly, we chose last year to go down an apprenticeship route, and we brought in a marketing apprentice, 19-year-old lad, Oliver. And he's here with us for these few days. You take a chance, because you don't always fall lucky. But you know what? It was the best thing that we ever did. He is so switched on, so dedicated, so hardworking, articulate in what he puts together. And his apprenticeship finishes, I think, April time. And, we're going to keep him on.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work that as well, but we've fallen very lucky and really, really pleased. So I think it would encourage me to go down an apprenticeship route again, whereas before it was a bit, not sure about that. But yeah, we should. Oliver's loved being here for the last 3 days. He's shattered, God love him, but he's absolutely loved it to bits.
Aren't we all?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Maybe I should do an apprenticeships afternoon at EventTech Live in the future. The youngins in talking to you all and stuff like that. Still keeping on that theme though of experience and knowledge. I think you've talked about 220 years, I think, of combined service across your team and a 70% increase in staff since COVID. So how, we've talked about apprenticeships, but how else are you attracting great people to come and join RefTech and be a part of that team?
We advertise as everybody else does. We're not fans of agencies for various reasons. And we've sometimes, again, fallen lucky that we've advertised at the right time and we've had some good people come through. I've even talked to people word of mouth, even had recommendations from your good self in the past. So I think sometimes it can be who using your extended database of people. And, there's a lot of skilled people in this industry. And what is very different today is if you keep somebody for roughly 2.5 years, you're doing well. It's all changed. Whereas the old days, like my first job was 18 years. I've been at RefTech 18 years. And then there was another job in between.
I thought you were going to say RefTech was your first job there.
No, I wish. I'm not that young or that old. And people don't stay in the jobs as long as they used to. Yeah, again, you might fall lucky and attract that person that isn't interested in swapping and changing every couple of years. But I think it's the nature of the way the world is today.
Do you think that's people's attitude towards jobs, or do you think that's culturally, or maybe how modern businesses are kind of now structured, that do they value the people enough? Do they make that work environment valuable? Because I've, in the 15 years that I've had my businesses, I think the least amount of time somebody has worked for us was 4.5 years.
Right, okay.
The longest time somebody has worked with us is 15 years. And I think the average is 7. And they're still with us. So do you think, I don't think I'm doing anything special other than creating a really great working environment to be in. Little things. We introduced a 4 p.m. finish because we didn't feel it was right for people to be going home in the winter in the dark. So the families and things like that. Lots of other little things like that. So do you think that keeps people engaged, or do you think it's just more the attitude towards people now that I've been here a couple of years, it's time to move on, I need to go and do different things?
I think there's an element of both. We at RefTech pride ourselves about going above and beyond for our staff. Maybe some previous staff may not agree with that sentiment, but we'll have an opinion. Yeah, I think the culture today is that people will move around a lot more, and I think they're also knowledge hungry, and they want the experience of continually learning something new. And you can't compete with that, really. If it's a youngster, then it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. But for us, we try to do the best we can. Like every month, we have a massage lady come in, and she gives all those that want it have a massage.
Sure. I don't even pay for a massage for myself.
It's me that does the massages, Adam. As long as you're all right with that, you can come along.
So is there going to be a whole new brand of RefTech massage aisle on the stand next year? Let us take the stress out of registration. Second to last question. Looking ahead, where do you see event registration heading?
Becoming a lot more complicated, I think.
Interesting. Why do you say?
Just with the way the industry is going and all these companies that are popping up with the AI and everything else. I mean, when I was at EventTech Live last year, I walked the floor as I always do. And all I kept seeing was these company names that are award-winning. Never heard of them before. All along that one back wall, I'm like, who the hell are they? Where have they come from? You're laughing because you know I'm right. And I think organisers want the best of everything. They want to be slick and they want to be up to date and they want to ensure that they're working with the best tech stack that they possibly can. I'm even embracing that phrase now, tech stack, and and obviously API integrations, etc. So yeah, I think there's going to be interesting times ahead. If I was to look at RefTech, we're a more traditional company with good old faithful the badging and registration. Is there anything special within that? Some would say no, some would say yes. And yes, we do bring out nice things, etc. Have we done anything with AI at the moment? No, because we don't. We've got mixed views on AI. We in our business do a lot of workflows, and you could argue that those workflows could be deemed as being AI. But in truth, those workflows are manually done because no two workflows will ever be the same depending on the client's requirements. So how AI could adopt that, I don't know. I'm being ignorant there. But yet, this whole event here, there's a lot of AI. You've been with the EventTech Live, very AI orientated. It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds. Is it a passing phase? Who knows? Is AI a secure and good thing to adopt? Absolutely not. I think it can be quite dangerous if it's used in the wrong way. So, but I just think, even now it gets very complicated. The whole thing gets very complicated. And also, again, because you don't have the knowledge and experience of the organizer, the way that the organizer explains what they want is not always clear and concise. And they expect you to be able to read between the lines and understand what they're saying.
I think there's two distinct camps evolving. This is the way that I see it. And actually it's not necessarily anything to do specifically with AI. I think you've got a diversion of company and actually a diversion of organizer one. And I think there's on one side there is the self-service, very heavy self-service SaaS model. Almost you don't actually ever speak to anybody, maybe a salesperson, and you're comfortable or have the want or desire to run the solutions, the systems yourself, set them all up and stuff. And then there is the totally other end of that where, and this probably leans towards the larger shows, the more complex shows, the larger organizers and stuff like that, where they want really good, robust technology, but they want gold standard service, right? They want a team and 220 years of experience on what looks good, how things should run, be able to read between the lines and interpret what they're saying into what can actually take place and stuff like that. And also through that, also have great partnerships and relationships with their other suppliers and partners and things like that, right? And those are two totally different ends of the spectrum when it comes to budget as well, right? Yeah, I could go and buy an off-the-shelf SaaS registration solution probably for, I don't know, a couple of £1,000, maybe even less kind of thing. But would you let that fly on a 10,000-20,000 person trade show like this? No. Would you be confident of connecting up to hardware that you're hiring in from one of the other partners or providers and making that all sing?
No, absolutely not. With every event that we do, the event gets set up in our stores area. It gets tested. We check scanning, we check everything. And then the event will be packed up, ready to go. But even with doing that, you can get to site, set everything up, and it doesn't work.
Okay. Final and fun question. It's kind of double-barreled. I'm not lying. It's two questions in one. And it doesn't have to be related to anything we've talked about today. It doesn't have to do with registration, knowledge, internships, or anything like that. What's one thing you wish we saw more of in the events industry? And what's one thing you wish we saw less of in the events industry?
What did we sound more of?
What's your pet peeve?
A pet peeve is, well, it's not even a thing. I think the pet peeve is that the client wants everything, but they don't want to pay for it. And they drive you further and further and further into the ground, drive a hard bargain to get you to quote a low cost. So that's a major pet peeve for me. So it's not necessarily a thing, but a scenario. In terms of selling more of, we do really well with the print pods, but it'd be great for us to sell more for us as a business, because I think they're attractive. They are eye-catching. They're also a great product that allows the organizer to attract sponsors to give them some more revenue in. So, that's a huge positive there. And not everybody thinks about that. So you have to say, look, you do realize that you could do X, Y, Z. And Oh, never thought of that. Scanning is always a good one because, with your lead retrieval, I mean, we do very well with lead retrieval, but it's obviously, it's a good revenue stream for very little effort, really, because obviously the work's all done, it's all set up. The client logs in and gets their leads themselves, but only if our client read what you're sending them. But that's an ongoing battle that I'm sure you know all about.
I'm starting to believe emails don't get read at all.
No.
Emails don't get read at all. But there we go. Well, Margaret, thank you very much for taking some time out of a busy trade show to come and speak to me on the First Sight Media podcast studio. For anybody that hasn't come across Margaret or the team at RefTech yet and have registration needs or requirements coming up, do go and take a look at them. Do put them into the hat when it comes to the RFP process. Because if nothing else, Margaret's lovely. So yeah, thank you very much, Margaret, for coming on to the EventTech Talk Show. And for everybody listening, stay tuned. Next one will be along soon.
Thank you very much.